practicing the presence. When I saw that video, I had tears running down my face because I just thought it was so appropriate and so beautiful when you could just see the skeletons. We're all the same. We are all the same within. We are all spirit in action. We are all God in expression. And that was such a good visual of that. I just loved it. So I hope you enjoyed that. My name is Judy Chapman, and I am one of the assistant ministers here at the Center for Spiritual Living in Capistrano Valley, San Clemente. It is my joy and my delight to welcome each and every one of you here tonight. Such a wonderful, special guest tonight for you, and I am been waiting for probably 6 months for this night for him to come and speak to us. So we're going to start the evening as we always do, as in prayer. And we're going to start, first of all, with the chant. It's a call and response. So you'll catch on as soon as it gets going. And then our practitioner for the evening is Christine Lowe, and she's available after the service for about 15 minutes for you to have time with her. If you would like whatever's happening in your life to expand and grow, or if you have having a obstacle or an issue, she will see the truth for you through prayer. So she is available here for you this evening. So let us start with the chant.
I am so blessed to be here this evening sharing with you that one power, that one blessed loving presence in which we have our life experience. And as I share that with you today, I am so encouraged and supported in knowing that it is the way, that it is the wisdom, and it is the love, and it is the way forward. And knowing this, I know that everything unfolds perfectly this evening. Everyone gets the answers that they're seeking. There's new wisdom to be found. And in knowing this, I am so grateful. So grateful for the talk that we are about to hear. So grateful for everyone gathered here together. And so I know that this is a perfect situation, and I release that word into the law, knowing that it is done. And so it is.
Thank you so much, Christine. We call this Wednesday evening practicing the presence. And there's a reason for that. You know, I have a list here that I received when I went to Sacred Days back in the late 90s of 50 different spiritual practices that we can do under under 15 different headings. So, I mean, of course we have prayer. Prayer is the most powerful spiritual practice that we have. It is the one that lights the way, where we get the most, where I get the most, I'll speak for myself, powerful results and instant results. But there are so many different things to do. Let's just take one of the headings. So prayer is one of the most important. And then you pray for yourself daily. You pray for others daily, and you thank God for all the blessings received daily. So those are three things under the heading of prayer that we can do on a daily basis for our spiritual practices. Service is another spiritual practice. Number one was serve my church or my center in some way, serve my community in some way, and also allow ourselves to be served. Sometimes we forget that one. We're always giving, 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 serving, 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 and we don't let ourselves be served. We need to do that. It is a spiritual practice to receive, to say, and then say, thank you, thank you. Another spiritual practice is spiritual partnering. That's praying with someone, having a prayer partner on a permanent, on a regular basis. I know a lot of them in our classes, we have prayer pods, we have groups of people that get together, sometimes two, sometimes four, sometimes six, to get together and pray together. And it's very, very powerful. And it also, another one under the spiritual partnering is to seek out spiritual counseling when necessary. If you're hitting a bump in the road, believe me, I'm speaking about myself again. When we hit a bump in the road, we need our spiritual counseling. I have a practitioner. I go to practitioner. I have a prayer group with Dr. Jeannie and Reverend Patty. We we pray together, and it's amazing what that does for our well-being. So get a prayer partner, speak with someone, or there's a list of everyone who's a practitioner here, all those people on the wall over there. There's a list, and if you just give one of them a call and have a prayer session. Another spiritual practice is worship. And that can include daily chanting. I mean, that's what we just did. I have that CD in my car, and there's about 10 different chants on it. And when I'm going to work, if I'm on the freeway, I do my chanting. I mean, because it reminds me of, it brings focus as to what I am on this planet for. And that is to be a beautiful expression of spirit. And then, of course, another spiritual practice is our affirmations. For anything you want, you can make them up as you go. I have my favorite I've had for over now 15 years. I am open and receptive to the abundance that is mine to have and to share. So I put the word abundance in there, and sometimes I'll switch it out with love or prosperity. But I figure abundance, that's good for all areas of my life. So I love that prayer, and I wrote it, at a retreat or something many years ago, and it serves me. I wake up in the morning and I say it, and it's the last thing at night. So when I go to sleep, it's there in my subconscious mind. I want to read you something that it's now Dr. Joe Hooper. He just got his doctorate from the Palm Desert Center, wrote in 2011. And some people say, well, what is the science of mind? What is religious science? What does it mean? What does it mean? And we have our we have our what we believe in the beginning of the Science of Mind textbook. But he wrote this, and I thought it was just beautiful. Our religion is a synthesis of the greatest concepts which have ever come to the mind of humanity. It's the law of Moses, the love of Christ, the ethics of Buddha, the morals of Confucius, the deep spiritual realization of the Hindus, the mystical revelations of the saints of the Middle Ages, the laws and perils of compensation of Emerson, the logic of Kant, the spirituality of Swedenborg, the beauty of Browning, and the wide universal sweep of Walt Whitman all find an exalted place in the science of mind philosophy. So the way I look at it, we take all the good things, all the juice, all the vitality and the energy from all the different world religions, and we place them into our heart, and we create this philosophy. So, and what's beautiful about it is we can take what we need and leave the rest. Nobody's telling you what to believe, what to think, or what to do. We all are individualized expressions of spirit. We all have that same divine intelligence that dwells within us. So we know the truth, and that truth sets us free. Well, like I said earlier, I'm very excited about tonight's speaker. Reverend Arpad is an ordained minister, and his ministry is called Beyond Sunday. He creates and he facilitates seminars and workshops based on the science of mind. He also is an incredible photographer, and I'm going to let him tell you how to get to his website. You will be absolutely mesmerized, and just the beauty of some of his photography, or actually all of his photography, is just exquisite. And I love it when he takes pictures of places that I've been, like June Lake and Mono Lake, and I go, oh yeah, but he makes it look just so exquisite. He is a friend of mine. He is a wonderful colleague, and it is my delight and joy to welcome the Reverend Arpad Petrass.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Judy. Oh, hi, Patty. Brett, how you doing? Thanks. Excuse me while I do a little house cleaning or rearranging. It's like you need security sometimes. So like this big solid thing real close to me makes me feel so much better. Somehow I could talk better if I had this thing here. Thank you, Christine, for that beautiful treatment. Whew. There we go. I got it all. Can you feel it? My whole head started to tingle. I'll tell you, I'm really excited to be here, and I'm really excited to be alive. And I ain't kidding about the being alive part. I don't know if you know, or you may not have known, but 6 months ago, on my birthday last year, I got this amazing gift, an incredible present. I wind up having quadruple open heart surgery. Why do I say it's a present? I'm not going to answer that. But what I wanted to tell you, and here's my story. This is how it kind of happened. I feel like I'm a pretty healthy person. I didn't have any symptoms. I went on a Friday to get my routine stress test, treadmill test. I've passed it many times before, not a problem. I was expecting the same. I go in, I'm on the treadmill, I'm having a test, and I hear the nurse whispering to the doctor. She says, I've checked it 3 times, doctor, just to be sure. And I realized maybe that's not a good sign. And he comes over and he says, well, Mr. Petrass, you have a blockage somewhere, but we don't know where. So I'm going to schedule you for your angioplasty. Now, if you don't know what that is, they stick a balloon up to your valves and they kind of do a little rotor-rooter job, and boom, you're clean, you're good, no surgery required, you're good to go. I said, that's great service. 2 days later, they're going to take care of me. So I go, and you're kind of awake, you're kind of drugged, and you watch what they're doing, and they're sticking that little thing down your veins, and he goes, I can't make the bend. Well, that's a good thing, because if he tries to make the bend, your valves just explode and you die right there on the table. So he says, we're going to have to schedule you for surgery. Now, I'm being all drugged up and all sedated and kind of wacky. I said, sure, go ahead. I don't care. I had no idea what happened. They tell me that it was 8 or 9 hours later I came out of surgery. And when I woke up, I was confused. I was scared. I was fearful. I had tubes coming out of every possible place in my body, all over the place. I was under drugs. I was hallucinating. I didn't know where I was. I was afraid. And I had to rely on the goodness and the kindness of other people to help me get through the day. That's scary. And the nighttime was even the worst. It was the worst because that's when you thought you're going to die. Now, that sounds pretty heavy, but it's true. You think you're going to die. I mean, how many have experienced that? It's a pretty heavy thing. Fred's gone, yeah, I know. It changes your life. Because we take life for granted so often that we don't pay attention enough. So finally, they let me out of the hospital. I had to pass this little test to prove that I could walk up some stairs on my own with assistance. Okay? Then they can let you out. And I came home. The same thing happened to me when I was home. I started to become afraid again because I had to rely on other people to do things for me. They had to cook for me. They had to shower me. They had to bathe me. They had to help me walk because you lose all atrophy in your muscles. All this terrible stuff was happening. And again, the nighttime would come and you get afraid again. But an amazing thing happened while I was at home. I started to feel prayer, not love. I started to feel prayer. And I don't remember telling anybody what had happened. I didn't go around telling the world that I had this happen. All right, Christine, you're banned. Turn that thing off. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, yeah, okay. So my higher wisdom self, my higher consciousness knew what to do when I was not able. We as ministers and practitioners, we're trained in affirmative prayer. We know what that means. We're trained to look at a situation, look at a problem, and know the truth about that situation for that person when they can't do it themselves. But I couldn't do it for myself when I was at home, okay? You know, we look at the truth of what it is. We know the truth is that we are all children of God. Everyone in this room is a child of God. End of story. That's a fact. Just depends on whether you choose to believe it or not. But it's a fact. We're all children of God. We are all connected. So it's easy to treat for other people, to pray for other people. But it sure ain't easy to pray for yourself. That's why Reverend Judy goes to another minister, goes to another practitioner, because they can see what's real when you can't. What's interesting to me is I see that in the world today, I think there's an epidemic. There's an epidemic of fear in this country. We seem to be afraid of everything. Mostly we're afraid of change. Change is the biggest fear. We're afraid of being poor, but we're afraid of prosperity. We're afraid of being healthy, yet we're afraid of poor health. We're afraid of finding God. We're afraid of not finding God. We're afraid of finding our soulmate, and we're afraid of being lonely. We're afraid of abundance, but we're afraid of prosperity. We're afraid of everything. You know what I'm saying? Who can raise their hand and say they've never been afraid? No. So this epidemic, and this is why I think this happens. We are at choice. Every day we are at choice. In our minds, whether you want to admit it or not, you've got this little voice talking to you. You know, the Buddhists like to call it the monkey mind or the chatterbox. But you only have two choices every day on every situation, just two. You take a positive choice or a negative choice. Do you take the choice of fear or do you take the choice of faith? Now, what is faith? And I want to be clear about what faith is. And I want you to be clear about what faith is. Faith is a belief that there is a higher power and a higher consciousness greater than yourself, and you are part of that individual. You are the individual expression of this higher consciousness. Got me? But what does faith and fear have in common? They both want you to believe in something that is unseen. Fear is unseen, yet we choose it. Faith is unseen, yet we choose it. We have to guard our minds, we have to guard our consciousness against our thoughts. It's the way I put it. Ernest Holmes, what did Ernest Holmes call it? Right thinking. He called it right thinking. So what happens if you make decisions based on fear? You let in thoughts of fear, lack, depression. Anybody else have an idea of what other thoughts you could let in? Less than what? Illness, less than, unworthiness, lack, sadness, negativity, negative thoughts, negative feelings, judgment. If you choose the higher road, if you choose the road of faith, what are you letting in? You're letting in love, you're letting in goodness, letting in kindness, you're letting in uh, gratitude, you're letting in what else? Well, forgiveness, peace, love, joy, prosperity, success, abundance, everything that is good about you is in the faith column. Everything that's not good about you is in the fear column. So we have to choose faith or fear, right? We have to guard our thoughts. Now, a couple years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, Reverend Larry told me he was listening to a minister named Joel Osteen. How many know who he is or don't know who he is? Okay? Joel is a very charismatic closet metaphysician that teaches everything that we teach, but he ties it to the Bible. He finds Bible verses that support our teaching. The man is really pretty amazing. And the reason I started listening to him is because Oprah is no longer on Sirius Radio. Her channel is now gone. So this is what they replaced it with. So I started listening to Joel going to work. I go, this is really interesting, because I love listening about teachings from other churches, other philosophies. We can't live in a box, even though we think we're the cat's meow. You can't exclude the rest of the world. Maybe they got a few good ideas that you all use. So I like what he says, but he said something really interesting. And I would say that in every talk I've heard so far, he talks about God's favor. Now, when I heard that, I jumped back. Don't you guys react now. We don't teach that God doles out favors. We don't teach that Spirit gives it out like candy. And that's what I heard in my mind, that there's this being that's sitting there handing out favors if you did something good and taking things away. And I finally understood what he meant. I finally got what he was saying. It's making choices to go and live on the higher ground. Now think about that. It's making choices that are good for you. It's making choices that empower the world. It's making choices that make your life better and make people else around you better. It's making choices that supports and encourages and builds you up. It's not making choices that where you cheat at work and you steal all the paper clips and pencils and you take them home and you store them away. How's that living the higher ground? Okay? It's not cheating your neighbor. It's not being angry. It's not going around killing people. It's not thinking about lack. It's not thinking about how poorly your business is going. It's not thinking about what you don't have. It's about what you do have and what you do need and what you will give to the world and how you will expand this consciousness and expand the world based on the good deeds that you have. So that started making sense to me, because what do we say? What you think about, you bring about. What you focus on, you bring into your life. What you believe to be true in your heart is what shows up. What's inside of you is what manifests. So to get back to Joel's little favor, it started making sense to me, because if I make decisions based on the higher road of higher consciousness, of choices of faith, and believing in a higher power, then I am going to bring to myself more of those good things that are in the world coming to me based on my choices. So can you see how favor makes sense? Like you're choosing what? You're choosing spirit, aren't you? Aren't you choosing something greater than yourself for the greater good of humanity and mankind? So I get it. I'll agree with him that God has favor. but not in the way we know it. Maybe. I don't know. But do you see where I'm going with this? Here's a funny little quote if you want to write something down. If fear starts knocking, let faith answer the door. Okay, so what do when you start getting in fear? Now, isn't it always amazing what Reverend Judy says? And we don't talk sometimes for months. We're in the same plane, girls and boys. I know what she's thinking. She knows what I'm thinking. So she's going to talk about what? Prayer? Come on now. Thank you. Good segue. I love it. How many dreams have you had killed, dashed, unfulfilled because of your thoughts? 5, 10, 20, 100, 1,000? Far too many for me to admit in public. But yeah, I've had a lot of ideas and thoughts because I was not ready. I wasn't prepared. I didn't do my homework. I didn't do my spiritual practices. I didn't practice what I teach. I just reacted. So we're always at choice. We can blame. We can blame the phone for dinging at this inappropriate moment. No. Or we could say, hey, isn't that cool? I actually did a talk once, and I was talking about God calling, and I swear to God, the phone rang. Exactly on cue for my talk. It's pretty cool stuff. Makes you want to believe, doesn't it? I didn't know, but I sure answered the phone. So here's what I want to do. I want to do a little guided meditation just to practice what we preach, practice what we say, and give it some grounding because, you could hear a bunch of stuff on a Sunday. If you don't do anything about it and it just goes out the door, when you go out the door, why'd you come? You got to practice. You got to do it. You got to be part of life. You must participate in the goodness of mankind, and you have to be the solution, not the problem. Okay, Gina, you almost ready? Okay. So before we start the meditation, I just want you to imagine that you're standing on a hilltop. Okay? We haven't gone there yet. We're just priming the pump. Now close your eyes and hit the music. Oh, royalty-free music. I love it. Now just take a deep breath. Just inhale. And then just exhale. And know you're in a holy and sacred place. Take another deep breath. And just exhale. And imagine being on that mountaintop. Take another deep breath as you're up there. And just slowly exhale. And just feel any anxiety that you have in your body just pouring out of you, coming out of you, moving through you. At this time, as you stand on top of that hilltop, on top of that mountain, you are covered in a bubble, big, transparent bubble. And as you look outside that bubble, you can see consciousness. You can see love. You can see spirit. You can see all the good things that life has to offer. You can see romance and prosperity and abundance and happiness, perfect health. Now look inside that bubble. And inside that bubble are all your negative thoughts. They're just floating around. They're trapped. They're stuck. They can't go out. And nothing's coming in. Nothing's coming in. Just look at those thoughts inside the bubble. Look at any thought or idea or feeling that you've got floating around inside there that you had for a long time. A really long time. What is that thought? Is it the job you never got? The relationship you never had? The poor decision you made on a date? What's that one thought? What are you willing to let go? Before you're ready to do that, just look down on the ground and there's a sharp little stick just sitting there. And when you're ready, take that stick with both hands. Both hands. You see you hold that stick with both hands. Do that now. Grab that stick and hold it with both hands. And poke that bubble. 1, 2, and 3. Now look outside the bubble. Just feel and see what there is for you to see. Is there a special word or feeling or emotion that just hit you? Something that came from a higher place that says, yes, my beloved, you're okay. You're going to be just fine. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Slowly return to the room. 3, 2, and 1. When you're ready, open your eyes. Life is short. Having a heart bypass makes it even shorter. Making poor choices makes your life even shorter. We can't waste a second. We can make life better by what we choose to do today. Anybody willing to share anything? It's all right. You're among friends. You and the internet and this live streaming that's going on. They won't know who you are because they can't see the back of your head. It's okay. Yes. So she said, I got the feeling of flowing and creating. Did that make you feel better? Why? And who gave you that approval to move forwards? Or you? Or you? Anybody else? Come on, there's got to be one more. Reverend Judy?
I felt when I popped the bubble, I felt such a surrender, and then right after the surrender feeling was just
Comfort. Surrender and comfort. Who didn't want to pop the bubble? Who said, screw you, I ain't doing it. This is too hard. This is too airy-fairy. This is too much. You don't have to tell me. It's okay. You really don't have to tell me. But did anybody have resistance? Because sometimes we do. Sometimes we have held on for dear life the thing that we fear the most and we hate the most because it has become our lifelong friend. And it's familiar and it's comfortable. So I'll put up with less. I'll get less. I'll have less. I will be less because it must be okay. And I'm challenging you not to be just that okay. I'm challenging you to go above and beyond and go for the higher road. Choose. Choose the best for you because that's what God wants for you. That's what Spirit has in store for you. Only the best, your higher self, everything that's good about you. Leave the other stuff to other people, and so it is.